Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I do talk to people
Thank you for an opportunity.
And I start businesses that employ them. I don't go around wringing my hands.
This is not about you, Hekia. This is not about you at all.
Point of order. Hekia Parata.
I think, Mr. Speaker, that we've been told often enough that the term "you" is reserved for yourself, the Speaker, and it is not to be used in denigration by one Speaker of another in this House.
I'm not going to have any speaking on this. The word "you" is not banned entirely. The word "you" is not acceptable when people are making references which are to the Speaker. Now, the member who was speaking said this is not about you, etc., and named the person in the same sentence. In that particular context, I find it particularly acceptable because the "you" refers to the person named, yourself, Hekia Parata. This is not about you, Hekia Parata. Quite clear from the sentence, it's not about me, the Speaker. So I just want the member to reflect on this. I know emotions are running hot in the debate, and this is good. So I just want to then ask Mr. Prasad if he'd like to continue his contribution to the House. Point of order, Todd McClay. Order.
Mr. Speaker, the last speaker on the opposition side didn't address Mrs. Parata correctly. In fact, he was far too familiar with her. We've often been told of that in this House, and ask you to correct them, please.
Well, I just want to say to the member, I thought I heard him say, you Hekia Parata. And if I'm incorrect, then the member, if I didn't hear him correctly, I just ask the member, who's about to speak, when you address members in the House, the member will do so correctly by the appropriate address.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do believe that I addressed the member both respectfully and correctly. I did say this is not...
Order. The members should not refer to a matter that's been ruled. I've said the member is to do so. The member will simply continue with his speech and not traverse the matter which has been covered by the point of order. I call Rajin Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The member raises a whole series of points and raises it with some passion, and I respect that. However, there is nothing in this bill that actually addresses many of the points that the member makes. Nothing at all. It is hyperbole, it is filibusters of a kind, but it doesn't actually add to the argument at all. Mr. Speaker, I do believe in the caring society. I do believe in one that actually invests in parents and families and in the children. I do believe in that kind of society. What is the point? What is the point that you'd like to make? What is the point the member making? I will respond to you if you ask a question. What is the question you want to put to me?
Order. This is a debating chamber, and points are to be addressed to the chair. This is not a private conversation backwards and forwards across the chamber. I advise the member he's got 10 minutes to make a presentation on the matter, and I invite him to continue with his address to the chamber. Rajin Prasad.
Mr. Speaker, I have no difficulty in a society using its wealth to address the problems that are being experienced by members of that society. We create, Mr. Speaker, the best environment possible for our children, one in which they will grow up and that investment we make will pay handsome dividends so that they will make the kind of contribution to our kind of society. We use the resources of nation state, our taxpayer dollars, to give our children the best start in life. And I support the system that is designed to actually make that investment, particularly on those who miss out from time to time. And when there are lives that are less fortunate, lives that have gone wrong, then this wealth of the state, the resources of the state, ought to be used to give those children and those families the best start possible. And therefore I support a fair system of social assistance. And no matter whatever it takes, Mr. Speaker, that's the kind of system we've designed since 1935, and by and large it has worked well. Now, just as I do support, the members opposite might be interested, I do support the expenditure of millions of dollars of taxpayers' money when our farmers, through drought and floods, etc., require that assistance. It's the same way, because they will pay a handsome dividend to the nation's wealth, and that is fine. I despise those who abuse the system. I've worked in this system, Mr. Speaker. I've worked with many of these people who are wonderful people whose lives have gone awry, and there's some that abuse the system. I will not spend a moment defending anybody that abuses that particular system. And there are any amount of provision to actually address those particular things. But and let's use those systems to address that. Now, however, when people find themselves in that particular situation, then to actually provide assistance based on a moralistic expectation of what they must do to earn that, live in a particular way in terms of a personal life, begins to expect from the most vulnerable something that we don't expect of ourselves, because these are the ones who are forgotten. It's national governments have always picked on this particular sore in our society, make these the targets of our contempt and design programs to actually punish them. They've done it time and time again, Mr. Speaker, and this bill does the same. It creates a climate where people begin to believe that somebody is taking our money away. We, the taxpayers, are the honest citizens. Anybody else that's getting assistance is somehow to be despised. And they become fair game, and then we pick on them and we punish them. Now, they happen to be largely brown, they happen to be the less educated, they happen to be the poor, and they happen to be those that have suffered violence. Mr. Speaker, I don't understand what is it. What is it about those members of Parliament and those leaders in our society who've had the very type of assistance I speak about? The very assistance I speak about, they've had it, and the minister is a case in point. The minister has had a hand up. The minister has had the kind of assistance this society ought to be giving to any mum with a young child that finds themselves in that particular situation. To give them the hand up, to give them the space to go off and do as best they can. And of course the minister has done very well, and I congratulate her on that. But what I don't understand, Mr. Speaker, why is it those very people become the most feral when they attack others like themselves? And there are cases in point, and we can name them as well. I won't in this chamber. But there is something about them. We become so punitive towards people who are like ourselves. We somehow have made good. We got the assistance, and we must now punish that find themselves in that same position. This government is introducing, Mr. Speaker, a very old concept. It's the concept of the deserving poor. And if the minister doesn't understand that, I hope the minister gets some advice on it. The deserving poor are those whom we rile against morally, and we expect of them particular standards of behavior. This is a Dickensian model. And it was designed out of Victorian England when the Industrial Revolution took place. They used whatever resources they could, human resources they could, to simply produce in the factories. And these were the human carnage that was created was incredible. And that's the kind of Dickensian England, if you like, that this government and this bill takes us back to. This is a mess. The minister is really unclear. The minister does sound quite confused in terms of a logical development of ideas to address what the minister sees as problems with our welfare system, particularly to do with those on the domestic purposes benefit. You know, there's nobody who disputes that work is something we should strive for. There is this term that's come up with in this particular bill that, and there's this kind of unyielding pressure to get into work. There's nothing new about this, Minister. Steve Mahari talked about this. In fact, the whole Working for Families package was a realization that the best way to really help people is through work, but it's not the only way. There are those who require different types of assistance at different points in that development cycle. And I hope the member who's